And now the fun part begins. It's round 2. We'll give you some of the top players on the board, who's remaining, and we'll do a round 2 mock.
For the first time.
For the first time.
I have also, by the way, I have a separate window open where I have created a mock draft that has just the teams that still haven't had a pick by the time we get to the end of the second round, right?
So we'll spend a little bit more time.
So I think there's 3 of them. We can create a pick for the first pick for all of the teams that still haven't selected, which I think is Denver. Who else is it Miami? No, they have one just before. Whatever. There's 3 teams, I think, that haven't picked by the end of the second round. We will get to them.
We'll do third round picks for them.
Just for them, yeah.
Okay.
But
all right, so the Steelers are on the clock here at pick 32.
Tyler won't have that on the screen. I'll just nab it at the end.
So the Steelers, in this iteration here, went Joey Porter Jr. in the first round. Mm-hmm. Steelers are up at 32. Now, what do you like here? So they've done a lot of work on their offensive line over the last couple of years. There's a few teams that might need a center. Steelers are probably in that boat where they could upgrade at center. Are they a John Michael Schmitz type of team? What other types of position? Mazi Smith. Do they want more defensive line help? The run defense has been trouble. Jack Campbell feels like an old school Steelers linebacker. They've been throwing all sorts of darts at linebacker. The thing I do like about the Steelers, and fans might be saying, hey, we already filled those needs. Mm-hmm. We brought Patrick Peterson in at corner. They brought in Cole Holcomb at linebacker. They've Isaac Seumalo at guard, right? They've actually attacked a lot of their needs in Pittsburgh a little bit more aggressively than they have in the past as far as free agency goes. I think they are in this draft the best player type of mentality. You don't have to fill as many needs here.
Yeah, I mean, they've done a good job, I think, generally of ensuring that they don't have to chase need. They don't have to go crazy. But, we've been talking before. They still have not an ideal situation at tackle. That's quite a need. All of the kind of the top tier of tackles that I think most people are looking at have all gone in the first round. So you're down to Cody Mock from North Dakota State.
He's probably a guard center conversion.
Right, or Matthew Bergeron, the Syracuse offensive tackle.
Too early for Bergeron,
Those would be your next 2 guys. So, I don't know. I've seen, I tweeted a while ago that thing that I said in the podcast, and I think we're going to get a bunch, 3 or 4 Cole Strange type picks where nobody saw it coming, in the first round. 3 or 4 guys that are consensus second or third round players are going to end up getting drafted in round 1 because this is a draft where nobody knows what the hell is going on. And not only does nobody know what the hell is going on, but you don't love any of the top guys. There's 15 guys with the first round grade. Somebody's going to be picking in the 20s and go, we're stuck. So just grab the guy on our board, and it's going to be one of these people. I've seen people suggest that Bergeron will go in the first round. And if you need a tackle and the other guys are gone, I get it.
How do we want to do this? Are we doing this the way we would do it, or just trying to be somewhat predictive here? It's kind of a combination of who we like and what we think a team would do.
Yeah.
That sound right?
Let's
you want to give them Bergeron?
I mean, I don't necessarily want to do it. I'm just saying it's not crazy.
I like the Jack Campbell potential pick here. I've got some different numbers on Campbell. I don't know what happened in the rerun of the model here.
Oh, yeah?
With Campbell. He's dropped.
Likes him less than it did.
He's dropped a little bit in my numbers. Mazi Smith is interesting.
He is?
I think, for the Steelers. They've had trouble against the run over the last couple of years. They bring back Larry Ogunjobi, but maybe another true nose tackle like Mazi. I think Mazi's a good fit here.
Okay.
Want to do that?
Sure.
Mazi Smith going to the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Texans are back up on the clock.
From Michigan.
Yes. Defensive tackle from Michigan. He was a Feldman freak. Moves really well. He's got some, you get some, those classic old school 2-gap plays on his film. I think the Steelers will like that quite a bit. Will Levis has been picked for the Texans, as has Jackson Smith and Jigba. So we've got a couple players on the offensive side of the ball. Are we leaning defense here? If you're Houston, I think you've got Emmanuel Forbes is the top player on the PFF board right now at corner.
Yep.
Felix Anudike Azama from Kansas State at edge is available. What else would we be looking at? Cam Smith from South Carolina, corner.
I mean, they still need everything essentially. They can your best player available at this spot. Corner, edge rusher, you can do anything.
I like Forbes.
You like Forbes?
I like Emmanuel Forbes.
Okay.
For the Texans. Cornerback out of Mississippi State. He's skinny, but a baller. I mean, that dude goes and gets the football.
Very skinny.
Yeah.
Super skinny.
Hey, I was really skinny once.
Yeah?
Look at me.
You think he's got that?
Overcame it.
You think he's got the capacity to bulk out, get to 3 bills?
Well, I don't know if he can get to 3. I mean, I've heard that weight is into skill, and anybody can put weight on.
Easiest thing to work on.
Easiest thing to work on at the NFL level. Arizona Cardinals are up on the clock now. Pick 34. They went Tyree Wilson back at number 3 overall. Why did they do that? Because over the weekend, Tyree Wilson became the betting favorite to be the top defensive player off the board. So they got some length.
I thought you were going to go full Mike Florio on that one. Why did they do that? Because their brass was in Oklahoma unveiling a statue to Kyler Murray. Not working.
Oh, that's what he said about that?
Yeah.
That's such an idiotic take.
And then people called him out, and they were like, that is work. Like, they wouldn't be doing that if Kyler Murray wasn't the quarterback. Like, they went to Oklahoma specifically because, to make their QB happy.
But, like, from Florio, that's just not having any clue how the draft process works. Like, what do you think is happening week of the draft? Do you think people are cramming like it's their AP chemistry test? Do you think they're just like, man, got to keep watching film all the way till Thursday night? Like, the hay's in the barn. The draft board is built. This week, there's a couple injury updates coming from the doctors, and they're going to move a guy from 62 to 74. That's what's going to happen this week on draft boards.
Florio responded to that with, would you rather have your GM working or not working 5 days before the draft or whatever it is? I put it to you, Stephen.
The other thing that's occurred over the last 20 or 30 years is a thing called the internet.
Uh-huh. No, that's true.
Where the traveling GM actually has communication to the outside world.
I watched, it's like the number of movies, that were made in the 80s or whatever that are immediately broken now because cell phones exist is amazing. Like, I watched... Got
to get to the payphone.
You ever see State of Grace?
I don't remember.
It's a movie with Sean Penn and Ed Harris and Gary Oldman. They're like a kind of a mobster movie. Anyway, there's a point where, like...
Now we're getting off the rails.
Yeah, well, we're in the second round now. We can do that. We've sped through the first round. It's fine.
Plenty of time.
Where there's a point where the Ed Harris's guy is meeting the Italian mob in a restaurant, right? He's like, if I don't call you, you send in the boys with the guns, right? Just mow everything down. You just lay waste to them, right? And he's like, if I don't call you by 2 p.m. or whatever it is, like 2 p.m. comes and goes, the guys are saddling up, right, with the guns, and they leave the room with the phone before he's able to phone them. So he finally gets to the payphone. He's like, no. But the phone's ringing. They've left the room.
Oh,
you're like, if only you just had a phone that you could text or just phone, like a phone that goes with them that isn't attached to the room, which, by the way, appeared to be a derelict building that had a working phone in it, which seemed a little strange. But anyway, like the number of movies that are just immediately broken now because cell phones exist is fascinating.
Sad.
Yeah.
It's very sad. Back to the Cardinals at 34. Are they a good fit for John Michael Schmitz?
Well, the point you were bringing up there is that, you can still work whilst being in Oklahoma. People work in Oklahoma.
And also the work that's being done the week of the draft is you're getting medical updates, and you're probably talking to fellow GMs who also have cell phones and email addresses.
On the phone.
You're probably talking to fellow GMs about trade opportunities. That's it. We're not ranking players. There's no more draft meetings. You're not breaking down your 7th round picks. It's all done. Work is 95% done the week of the draft. Anyway, just a stupid take. Sorry, Mike. Just really. I like your partner, Chris Sims, your buddy. Chris was a great guest and all that stuff, but that's just trolling for no reason.
I see. The thing is, I don't think it's trolling. I think that's what he thinks.
It's just incompetence.
Your words, not mine.
Do you think people are staying up all night Wednesday before the draft? Like, man, I need more information. I need all my information I could get. The draft's tomorrow. I feel. Yeah. I'm doing that because I'm trying to catch up on watching prospects.
I haven't watched Will Mallory yet. What if that guy's
got to catch up on Will Mallory.
Yeah.
Could be our first round pick in Arizona.
Look, he's a first-year GM. He hasn't got to the 7th round.
Talked about him 3 months ago. All right. John Michael Schmitz. They got Yeldy Froholt scheduled to be their starting center.
Sure.
I think John Michael Schmitz could be a good fit for Arizona.
Done.
Colts back on the clock here at 35. They just got C.J. Stroud over at pick 4. Other holes for the Colts. They always need receiver help, shore up the offensive line. Corner could be a place that they go. Mm-hmm. Are they I love Josh Downs at this point. You root for funny.
I do.
Right? Here's the funny that could happen.
Okay.
The Colts draft Darnell Washington.
And just have a collection of giant freak show tight ends.
Yeah, to go with Mo Alley Cox and Jelani Woods.
Right. And then you would hear people saying this is the most talented tight end room in the history of the world.
Yes.
All of whom catching like 15 passes a season.
It's all right.
Yeah.
Mismatch creators. Stop that in the red zone with C.J. Stroud.
You just line up with all of them.
The receiving core is interesting. You have Alec Pierce, last year's rookie, Michael Pittman Jr. He's their number one. Isaiah McKenzie comes in. There's a whole bunch of question marks. Would Downs be a good fit to compete for wide receiver 2 snaps with Alec Pierce?
Yeah.
Any other receivers that make sense there?
I mean,
Tank
obviously,
Dell, I know you like Tank.
love Tank. This is also where I think the wide receiver, the kind of the class, the drafting is going to get weird. Like once those first 3 guys or first 4 guys, if you put Zay Flowers in, then it's all bets are off. Like that's where Jonathan Mingo is sneaking into the first round.
Jonathan Mingo.
That's where Cedric Tillman is sneaking into the first round. That's where, like, if you love one of the small guys, that's where they go. You know, there's going to be some weird picks at receiver at this point.
Mingo could be a good fit here too. Had a little bit more speed.
People are catching up to Mingo.
They are.
It's getting popular now. First round.
I'm not.
I
catching up
redid
yet.
my rankings officially for both my document that you have access to, but you haven't, used, and
fire it over,
for the big board. And I moved Mingo up only one, but I bumped him up in the official because you criticized the fact that I didn't have numbers attached to any of these. So I've now added numbers.
I meant to click on your document. I've got a lot going on.
I've got Mingo up to 7 now.
Where else?
And also it bumped Zay Flowers up 1 as well. So Hyatt was the loser. Jalen Hyatt dropped a few spots. So Zay went up to 6 and Mingo went to 7.
So do we go receiver here? They could go. I mean, they've got some holes here. Felix Anudike Azama at edge could be good. Keon White at edge could be good here.
I like receiver. I think if you're going to get, you got the quarterback, let's give him somebody else to throw to.
Downs is my favorite.
Try and make that a strength.
Josh Downs is my favorite.
Downs makes sense there. I don't
All right,
hate
Josh
that.
Downs going to the Colts here at pick 35.
Oh, look, the Rams pick.
And now the Rams get to pick. I told you, I'm intrigued by the Rams draft. We're doing our 7-round mock over here at PFF. I have the Rams. I love my picks in rounds 5 and 6.
Sure.
And all the players that I added. So they need some immediate help.
Yes.
Not like stars or anything. They just need to, fill some starters. They could always go offensive line depth. They need edge defenders.
They need a lot.
They need a receiver to replace Allen Robinson, who's been traded, to complement Cooper Kupp and Van Jefferson. So there's a few different ways that the Rams could go. They could grab starting linebackers, corner. Where are the Rams going to go?
I don't think we ever discussed the Allen Robinson trade, which the most notable aspect of it being, I think that is the least I've ever seen somebody traded for.
Yeah.
They effectively traded him to move, what was it, like 6 spots in the 7th round was like the exchange of picks.
And the Rams are paying his salary.
Yeah, so the Rams are eating a chunk of his salary. But effectively the trade, what the Steelers gave up to get Allen Robinson, who, remember, like a couple of years ago was like a top 10 wide receiver in the NFL. They essentially gave up moving down 6 or 7 spots in the 7th round this year to do that, which is amazing. Like, that's worse than a conditional 7th round pick, because at least the conditional 7th is like a new pick that you didn't have before. This is, you just moved 6 or 7 spots in the 7th round where nobody cares what the picks are anyway.
What happens that you just have to get out of it so badly? I mean, I know you like future years and money and all that stuff.
Well, particularly when you're eating a giant chunk of the money anyway. Like the one thing you would say in this kind of trade normally is, well, at least you're not on the hook for the contract anymore.
But you are.
They're still paying him. Like
yeah.
they're
just paying it all in 1 year.
Yeah, they're actively paying him to be not on the team anymore, effectively.
Yeah.
It's wild.
It is. It's interesting. So it's, Rams have to get younger at a whole bunch of different positions. So what's the best fit here? The top player on the PFF draft board is O'Cyrus Torrence. I'm not sure he's the best fit for the way they like to run the ball.
Yeah.
At guard. They could use help everywhere, though, right?
Yes.
As we've said. So Felix Anudike Azama's interesting at edge.
That makes a lot of sense.
I like DJ Turner a lot. Could be a little bit high for him, the Michigan corner.
Yeah.
Do you want to go Anudike Azama
Yes.
at edge? For Kansas State edge going to the Rams here at pick 36. That puts the Seahawks up on the board at pick
And
37.
the Seahawks got Will Anderson, right? Number 5. That was their first pick. What was their second pick? Dalton Kincaid at number 20.
And Dalton Kincaid. Wow, that's a couple good players.
Yeah. They're having a good draft so far.
I would feel good if I'm the Seahawks coming off of last year's draft. Geno Smith's at quarterback. I'll tell you who's a good fit. O'Cyrus Torrence.
Oh. I thought you were going to go Julius Brents.
I mean, Julius Brents is a good fit for Seattle.
A lot of people are making that connection. And again, he's another one of those guys that people are saying could sneak into the first round. Now, that's way high.
Okay. I mean, I would take O'Cyrus Torrence to come in and play guard right away.
I will say, so as much as I think Julius Brents, number one in the first round is kind of crazy, and number two being really high on a cornerback rankings list is a little bit crazy. Where have I got him on my list? Corners, Julius Brents, 10. So he's my number 10 corner, and we've only got, 4 or 5 off the board at this point. So theoretically, there are 5 more corners essentially to come off before Julius Brents does. I will say, however, if you are the Seattle Seahawks, Julius Brents is probably your number 2 or 3 corner in the draft. Like, the board looks very different if you're the Seahawks than it does for insert random other team that doesn't play their corners the same way the Seahawks do. So I think in abstract terms, that would be a fairly significant reach. But for their board, I don't think it would be.
Do you want to play that game then? Last year, they got opposite Tariq Woolen, they have Michael Jackson. He's been okay. They got the most out of him.
Right.
Why does it work for Seattle too? Pete Carroll's really good at coaching these guys up and getting Tariq Woolen to improve last year. Let's get
37, I think, is fine for that.
So how far is Brent's on our
60-something?
Our overall
you gotta
board?
scroll a bit, yeah.
That's not too bad, though.
No.
Julius Brents, he's 68 now on the PFF draft board. So we're going to take him at Seattle at 30. So at 37,
Yep.
they now have, Seattle, the 2 players. When I go into Ultimate and I'm like, give me all the guys that are this long and this tall with this level of arm length, there's only 2 guys in the database.
Yeah.
Tariq Woolen and Julius Brents. The only difference is Tariq Woolen was 0.3 of a second faster.
Yes.
Just about in the 40, almost 0.3 of a second faster.
And they now have both of them.
All right, Raiders are up on the clock. Now O'Cyrus Torrence can go.
So they got Christian Gonzalez with their first-round pick.
They did. Now, do the Raiders, is this where quarterback starts to go? We got to start thinking about quarterbacks here for teams that are looking for a developmental prospect like a Hendon Hooker.
I was going to say, by quarterbacks, you mean Hendon Hooker.
Hendon Hooker, yes.
Because we don't think anybody,
Alex Bars and his negative war
Yeah.
are slated to be the right guard.
Yeah, it's problematic.
Is slated to be the right guard for the Raiders.
Yes.
O'Cyrus Torrence?
Yeah.
Or do you want to go QB?
The discussion is, when does Hendon Hooker get drafted? Because he's the only other quarterback, I think, that is going to
Okay, here's the picks coming up. Raiders could be in the market. Panthers could double up at quarterback.
No, they could.
No, they can't.
Stop that.
Saints at 40. Titans already drafted a quarterback, 41.
Yeah.
Jets at 42, if they want some Aaron Rodgers insurance.
And 43.
Jets at 42 and 43. Falcons at 44.
Having gotten Bijan, that would be interesting.
Could get Hendon Hooker. Packers 45. Patriots at 46. They've been shopping Mac Jones by that one report.
Yeah.
That was debunked or disagreed with, we'll say.
Okay.
Washington at 47.
Contradicted.
There you go. Thank you. I want O'Cyrus Torrence for the Raiders. If he's fallen to 38, you just best player on the board.
Okay.
Send in O'Cyrus Torrence. That's what I would say.
Nice. Yeah. That only works for
Don't
the
want
people,
anybody to read my lips.
for the people watching. People listening have no idea, except the sound just went worse.
Maybe it was better. It's clear. That's why coaches put it up against their. Don't want you reading my lips, and I want you to be able to hear.
Maybe that stopped the buzzing.
Maybe it offset the buzzing. O'Cyrus Torrence going to the Raiders at pick 38.
For anybody listening, by the way, we are aware that there are buzzing issues on the podcast, and we are tearing the studio to pieces.
Not
to try and
everybody's
fix
hearing.
them.
Not everybody's hearing it, but some are.
Yes, some people hear them. The more specifics we get as to when it shows up and why would be great, but we are constantly working on it, trying to eradicate the buzz before one of us dies.
Panthers at 39. So, a couple interesting names here.
So they obviously went Bryce Young.
Jahmyr Gibbs is at the top of the PFF draft board right now. Bama running back, explosive, quick. His highlights are out of this world.
They are.
Watching what Gibbs can do. He could be an interesting help for the Panthers. All receivers are on the board, right? Tank Dell, Jalen Hyatt, your boy Jonathan Mingo.
Which, now let's be clear about this. They just drafted their quarterback.
Yep.
Their quarterback, as currently stands, is throwing to Terrace Marshall, Adam Thielen, DJ Chark, Laviska Shenault, Hayden Hurst, Ian Thomas, and the running backs.
It's actually a decent, stitched together, short-term receiving core. As far as like Chark for a year, Thielen as he's getting older, Chenault as a complementary piece, and Terrace Marshall, you hope he breaks out. It's a decent, like it's not not bottom 5, I don't think, in the NFL.
It's like the Colts room you were talking about a couple of years ago, where like you can talk yourself into a scenario where each individual piece of that plays much better than you think.
But I'd rather not.
The collective is going to be good. It still feels like a room that needs to be upgraded, ideally in the first couple of rounds in the draft.
So the receiver room for sure. Does the value match up here with Tank Dell, Jalen Hyatt, Jonathan Mingo, whoever else you might like here? Cedric Tillman is tight end to play here. You mentioned Hayden Hurst and Tommy Tremble are the guys there. This is where your guy Darnell Washington, my guy Sam Laporta. I know we both like Laporta.
I would say all of those tight ends are on the table. Darnell Washington, Sam Laporta, Luke Musgrave, I think could probably be in the conversation as well. And all the top receivers are fair game as well.
The model would go Laporta here.
Okay.
I think.
Huh. What would the model do at receiver at this point?
At receiver, we're probably, because the consensus board has Tank Dell a little bit lower, we're going to wait a little bit. If I had to force a receiver, it's pretty much a toss-up between Jalen Hyatt and Cedric Tillman.
Okay.
And, Mingo, numbers don't like Mingo.
Numbers don't like Mingo.
I haven't factored your analysis into the model.
See, the problem with Mingo is, for some reason, that does appear to be entirely impossible to explain. The man had no production in his college career. It's an unfortunate reality to the situation that I haven't seen a good explanation for it. Nobody has come up with, oh, you see what happened there was. No, just for some reason, the guy who has some phenomenally good tape.
He's not a great receiver.
But he kind of is. And yet,
he's not a great route runner. He just makes a couple
he's
spectacular catches.
He's really good at everything. Like there's nothing. You look at his tape.
Mims. This is Denzel Mims.
No, it's not. You look at his tape.
For you.
Denzel Mims was like, he killed people at the Senior Bowl, and you could convince yourself that the rest of his tape would work because of that. Mingo's tape is good at everything. Like it's difficult to find things from his tape that are problematic, other than the fact that there just isn't enough of it.
Okay.
So it's different.
Do you want to get Mingo to jump up here?
Well, let's ask the chat. Where would the chat go?
Where would the chat go? Panthers at 39. So some of the big names that are still on the board here is Jahmyr Gibbs, running back out of Alabama, Darnell Washington, the tight end out of Georgia, Cam Smith, cornerback out of South Carolina. Some big names. Hendon Hooker, QB out of Tennessee. They're still on the board as of right now. Matthew Bergeron. I do like Bergeron as potential guard conversion. I think they're pretty solid on the offensive line right now. Bergeron's an interesting one. We got some Jalen Hyatt questions or suggestions. Somebody likes Mingo. Somebody likes Darnell Washington. Somebody likes Cam Smith. This is great. I'm willing to jump Mingo up here.
Okay.
Just because we think he's going to go high. How low is he on our board?
It can't be that low, right? I surely bumped him significantly from
people sleeping on
Renner.
Marvin Mims, who's now at 75 on our board.
He went down?
Did he?
I'm asking.
That feels wrong.
Right.
No, I think he was low. What about Keon White here too? Is another guy that we're somehow our board screwed him.
I just think
we've got him low.
If you're Carolina, you really want to come out of this pick with a weapon for your new quarterback, right?
Yeah. Let's find Mingo wherever he might be.
Who the hell is he?
Wherever he might be. Sort by receivers over here on the mock draft sim.
I really have to go to page number 2 to find Mingo?
83rd.
What is wrong with this?
Oh, man.
Look, the NFL loves him.
The NFL loves Mingo, therefore we're going to take him at 39.
More than Renner.
That's what kind of mock this is. You never know. We were trying to throw some curveballs. We're trying to do all sorts of fun stuff. Mingo?
Yes.
Mingo 39.
Greg Cosell talked him up, and that's all I need.
I love Greg. Saints on the clock at 40. Are they going to get the next Alvin Kamara?
Nice.
Jahmyr Gibbs. Do they want the next Alvin?
What do we give? They got an edge rusher. Which one was it? Did they get Will McDonald with their first pick?
I think they got McDonald.
Yes.
Would they double up with a power rusher like Keon White?
I mean, it's possible.
They just lost Marcus Davenport. Cam Jordan's getting older.
Mm-hmm.
Lost Trey Hendrickson a couple years ago. It's Carl Granderson and Cameron Jordan.
Yeah.
Peyton Turner, you're still waiting on Peyton Turner to break
they
out.
probably wouldn't double up. I think there's enough in that group that they want to give him. Like, Granderson's played reasonably well. I don't think they're ready to give up on Peyton Turner yet. Jordan will still play even if he's reaching the end of his career. So there's not that many snaps, I guess, to go around.
You still have Alvin Kamara. They bring in Jamal Williams to be a complimentary piece. I'd just be interested if they went that route. They love big dudes. Darnell Washington is on the board. Juwan Johnson broke out at tight end last year, but Washington could be there too. Their run-blocking tight end, potentially. Think that's a fit for the Saints?
I do, actually. I think that makes a lot of sense. Darnell Washington at this spot, which is really what he needs to be as well.